been exactly 92 days since the John Dramani Mahama government got sworn into office, and 61 days since I took the oath of Minister of State and assumed my role as Minister responsible for communication, digital technology and innovation. It seems like a year has already swung back. I have turned into action seeking to fulfill His Excellency's mandate and the charge the Ghanaian people have entrusted into our care. As part of my approach to transparent and accountable governance, this is the first of what will be quarterly updates from my ministry on our stewardship and the actions taken towards achieving the reset agenda of His Excellency. In the first quarter of 2025, the Ministry of Communication, Digital Technology and Innovation laid a solid foundation for a digitally resilient Ghana that delivers real value and opportunity for every Ghanaian. The technology sector is a central pillar of Ghana's economic reset and is critical to positioning Ghana at the top of the digital and competitive global economy. Recognizing this, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama made a pre-election promise to launch the 1 Million Coders program, a bold initiative to train 1 million young Ghanaians in digital skills, empowering them to thrive in a rapidly growing business process outsourcing future of work through the 1 Million Coders program. The ministry has launched intensive efforts to mobilize partners and secure the resources needed to implement the program to ensure that the program reaches every corner of Ghana, not just urban centers. And at this juncture, I want you to know that the website is active for all citizens who intend to take part in the pilot to go online and register. The URL is www.1millioncoders.gov.gh. I repeat, www.1millioncoders.gov.gh. At the core of digital inclusion is affordable internet access. And it is pursuant to this that the President promised to partner with private sector players to make internet access more affordable for low-income households through targeted subsidies, discounted data packages, and device financing schemes. In February, I established a multi-stakeholder data cost pricing committee comprising telecom service providers, consumer groups, and the regulator. The committee was given a 14-day mandate to deliver a roadmap for implementation to achieve more cost-effective data prices. The committee delivered its report in 13 days. I'm grateful to all the stakeholders who worked assiduously and at no cost to the state, I repeat, at no cost to the state, to produce a short, medium, and long-term approach to data price rationalization in our country. Again, I say I equal to them for their selfless service to our country. I have studied the roadmap document that they produced and referred it to the regulator, the NCA. The authority under the able leadership of the Acting Director General has held several engagements with mobile network operators to discuss and fashion out implementation plans and modalities. I have personally engaged with the CEOs of the 3 MNOs, and I'm pleased to announce that all 3 have presented the ministry and the regulator with specific improved data bundles for tertiary students across our country, as well as for content creation and gig economy demographics. In the coming days, the NCA will finalize the implementation and technical requirements with the relevant stakeholders for public rollout of this specific data bundles. In the interim, I have agreed with all 3 mobile network operators to have unique data bundle packages for all of their subscribers, which is all Ghanaians, on 5 national holidays: Independence Day, May Day, Republic Day, Founders Day, and Farmers Day. The Independence Day test run was a resounding success, and I look forward to working with the NCA and the MNO on May Day for our next holiday offering and celebration of the workers of Ghana. I have also noted several complaints about the quality of service of almost all the network providers in the country. This past week, I have taken decisive policy decision to approve technology neutrality and additional spectrum for MTN Ghana. I've also directed the NCA to make an additional spectrum offer to Telecel Ghana. These are to provide both operators with more resources to improve their service offerings and quality of service. However, on the back of these approvals, I wish to serve notice that the NCA would, within 3 months of the assignment of this additional spectrum, begin a rigorous enforcement of quality of service on the providers. Failure to provide a marked improvement in quality of service by the network operators will result in stiff fines. The ministry and regulator have fidelity to the Ghanaian people, and we will ensure that it gets the best customer service and experience. The telecom sector has not been without its challenges. The previous government acquired Airtel Tigo and rebranded it as AT with a reported purchase value of $1. Nothing could have been more disingenuous and unpatriotic. When the company was bought, its debt portfolio stood at $400 million US, and its revenues could not meet its monthly overheads. The core and billing platforms have reached the end of life, and both Bharti Airtel and Millicom, which operated Tigo, had failed to make any meaningful investments in both companies over the preceding 5 years. The decision to step in at the time can best be described as ill-informed and reckless. It was an abdication of responsibility by the then administration and minister to the best interest of Ghana. Today, after a debt restructuring arrangement, the debt portfolio at 80 sits at about $200 million US, rising every month as the company makes a monthly operating loss of 20 million Ghana cedis. The bleeding needs to be triaged, and urgent steps are underway to engage the company's creditors in negotiating haircuts to ensure the company's viability. I will be updating the nation in the course of this quarter on the policy directions the ministry will be taking as a sole shareholder to ensure the security of the jobs of employees and the long-term survival of the business. To effectively regulate technology in today's fast-evolving digital environment, I've initiated a comprehensive review of existing legislative and regulatory frameworks. The ministry I took over has legislation that should be in a museum and not as the underpinnings of a technology ministry. The current state of the legislative environment of the ministry is as follows. The Kofi Annan Center of Excellence in ICT has no Establishment Act. Ghana Telecom Act of 2003. The Postal and Courier Services Regulatory Commissions Act of 2003, Act 649. The Electronic Communications Act 2008, Act 775. Electronic Transactions Act of 2008, Act 772. The National Communications Authority Act of 2008, Act 769. The Data Protections Act of 2012, Act 843, and the Cybersecurity Act of 2020, Act 1038. This means that most of our legislation is 17 to 21 years old. That's why I said our legislation should be in a museum and not running a technology ministry. We are redrafting all our outdated legislation to ensure they reflect present realities, anticipate future developments, and provide a transparent, enabling environment for innovation, investment, and consumer protection. I am confident I will lay the revised legislation before Parliament in its next meetings. As part of this broader legislative effort, I convened strategic meetings with key stakeholders led by the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program across the startup and innovation ecosystem to build consensus on the way forward for the Ghana Innovation and Startup Bill. Together, we have developed a clear roadmap to finalize this bill. The landmark legislation is essential to creating a robust legal and regulatory framework that empowers startups to grow, attracts investment, and scales solutions that generate jobs and drive long-term economic transformation. I'm grateful to the directors of the ministry and our partners who have helped us achieve this march in so short a time. Recognizing the impact of emerging technologies, the President made a pre-election promise to develop a national digital transformation and emerging technology strategy to guide the ethical development and deployment of digital tools such as artificial intelligence and emerging tech for development. Following this, the ministry has prioritized dialogue on AI to fully assess its opportunities, security implications, and resource demands, and ensure we put the appropriate governance framework in place for an ethical, inclusive, and beneficial development and adoption of AI. Ghana has entered strategic partnerships with key partners such as the British High Commission, UNESCO, and other international organizations to support efforts towards Ghana's national AI strategy and blueprint. Furthermore, the ministry has commenced critical efforts to digitize the nation's essential data sets as a foundational step in our national AI agenda. This initiative aims to enable AI systems to learn from local data sets, ensuring that the models we develop reflect our lived realities, our cultural nuances, and our development priorities. AI models trained solely on foreign data sets risk overlooking indigenous knowledge and reinforcing learned biases that do not serve our interest. By anchoring AI development on our data, we are safeguarding digital sovereignty and building truly Ghanaian technologies in design and purpose. Recognizing how critical prudent expenditure management is to Ghana's economic recovery, the Mahama administration has pledged to fight corruption and graft head-on. In line with this commitment, one of my first actions was to conduct a comprehensive assessment of the ministry's financial position to guide how best to move forward. This review unearthed several irregularities, prompting a detailed investigation into the contracts entered into the ministry, through the ministry and its agencies on behalf of the Ghanaian people. The ministry is following up with the relevant parties to establish the facts and take corrective action where necessary. We're deeply concerned about the disregard for public interest reflected in the unfavorable terms in some agreements and the resistance encountered in accessing key information from certain service providers. Against this backdrop, I've referred some contracts and agreements to the Attorney General for his study and advice. One thing, however, is crystal clear to me as Minister. I will clean up the ministry and its agencies. It is my solemn pledge to the President and the people of Ghana. And I wish to announce that on the back of the foregoing, I will not be extending the Common Monitoring Platform contract, popularly called KELNI GBG, beyond this current terminal date. The contract is in two parts. One paid for by my ministry through the NCA, and another component paid for by the Ministry of Finance through the GRA. The NCA will no longer extend the KELNI GBG contract. I've instructed the NCA to begin to hold itself in preparedness to carry out the revenue assurance platform on its own. This position is backed by the fact that at the commencement of the contract in 2018, the monthly fee the NCA paid the private partner represented 28% of the revenue accruing to the state from international inbound traffic. As we speak today, as of October 2024, the fees paid to KELNI GBG have moved from 28% of revenue to 84% of the revenue. This means the state is paying far more to monitor the revenue than it retains. Another agency under my ministry that has had considerable amount of my attention is the National Information Technology Agency, NITA. Some agreements that I have inherited have caused me deep concern, and I have begun steps to either extricate the government from unreasonableness or to achieve a more favorable arrangement that is in the best interest of Ghanaians. As part of operationalizing the Digital Service and Payment Platform DSPP call center, managed under a contract I inherited between NITA and Digital Gov Limited, two companies, Saltel Limited and Datasium Limited, provided project management services. Some of the irregularities we have observed in the ministry under this contract include the fact, one, NITA is making monthly payments to the two firms, despite the fact that the firms are not directly contracted by NITA. Instead, the firms that NITA is paying have contracts with Digital Gov Limited, and those contracts were signed on the 1st of March 2020 for an initial 4-year term ending February 29, 2024. Despite this, NITA has continued since the termination or expiration of the February 2024 contract. NITA has continued to make monthly payments directly to the two firms as service providers throughout the contract period, creating a misalignment in accountability and oversight. Both Sortel and Datasion appear to deliver nearly identical project management functions for the DSPP call center, with no clear delineation of roles, responsibilities, or reporting lines. Thirdly, the contract with both firms expired on February 29, 2024. There were no formal renewals and no new engagement frameworks are in place, yet continued financial obligation continues. I have instructed the Director General of NITA to cease any further payments to both companies. The Ministry is in the process of assessing the necessity to continue with either or both Datasion or Sortel in a bid to eliminate duplication and ensure cost efficiency in future project management support for the DSPP. And here I hold the view that the Accra Digital Center is well equipped to step in to provide those services. I've also directed an audit and update of the Smart Infraco Libera Ghana Limited e-government infrastructure agreement. Upon receipt of NITA's initial assessment report, I promptly took steps to restore compliance, transparency, and fiscal discipline in managing our national e-government infrastructure. I issued a directive for Smart Infraco to grant immediate full physical and logical access to the e-government infrastructure. This became necessary as the audit discovered that no financial dashboard or audit trail was provided to NITA to track revenue or operations as stipulated in the mother contract. Also, NITA personnel were denied physical and logical access to infrastructure that the agency legally owns, including the data center facility and the network operations center. NITA has initiated engagements to ensure compliance, and I'm happy to announce that we have made progress in establishing and verifying 95% access to our infrastructure. The Ministry shall directly engage with Smart Infraco to compel immediate payment of all outstanding amounts, including and invoke penalties and termination clauses as necessary if need be to protect government's interest. To the people of Ghana, I offer you this assurance. I will get to the bottom of these issues and act decisively to restore sound financial stewardship in the Ministry of Communication, Digital Technology and Innovation. Still on the subject of stewardship, I have directed the NCA to conduct a frequency audit as part of the government's Operation Recover or Loot (ORA) initiative, aimed at identifying and reclaiming all state resources within the purview of the ministry which have been handed over to private interests in a manner inconsistent with law and laid down procedure. The exercise, the first phase of a full audit of broadcasting frequencies to ensure proper management and compliance with legal procedures, have identified incidents of non-compliance that will attract a total tax penalty of about 9.5 million Ghana cedis and several infractions that warrant immediate shutdowns or revocations of licenses. The government is committed to taking the necessary action to ensure rectification of the instances of non-compliance. In the period under review, I have taken steps to better position Ghana Post to take advantage of the increased e-commerce activity and to ensure Ghana's readiness to take full advantage of trading under the Africa Free Continental Trade Area (AfTA). Plans are underway to strengthen the backbone of domestic and cross-border trade logistics, especially for small businesses across the country looking to expand beyond national borders. To position Ghana Post as a relevant and competitive public service in 2025 and beyond, the Ministry is implementing a three-pronged reform strategy informed by an internal readiness assessment. First, we are updating existing infrastructure and information systems to reflect technological advancement and ensure resilience against cybersecurity threats. Secondly, we are modernizing logistics systems to guarantee faster and more reliable delivery across all regions. Thirdly, we are expanding service offerings to include e-commerce support, secure parcel handling, and access to critical public services. These reforms will transform Ghana Post into a vital enabler of e-commerce, cross-border trade, and citizen access to essential government services, laying the foundation for a more connected and efficient national economy. In line with the critical reforms necessary to reset the ministry when I took over, I took decisive steps in consultation with the World Bank Country Office in Accra to terminate the contracts of 13 staff under the Project Implementation Unit of the World Bank-funded Ghana Digital Acceleration Program. This became necessary to show our zero level of tolerance for any semblance of graft or corruption in the ministry. These terminations were patriotic action aimed to save the state from any representation that affects our international image. The ministry has secured clearance from the World Bank to replace the terminated staff, and we have proceeded to advertise the roles in the national dailies for 2 weeks, which lapsed last Friday. The interview panel is conducting a robust competitive assessment to select the best suited candidates as replacements. I have also directed the acting administrator of the Universal Access Fund, GIFEC, to immediately begin an asset inventory of all our infrastructure across the country to ensure that these centers, built primarily under the first John Dramani Mahama administration, are put to use as a 360-degree whole-of-government center, bringing digital government services to the doorsteps of Ghanaians. GIFEC has also stepped up work to complete the outstanding rural telephony project to improve Ghana's digital inclusion drive. The completion of the project will connect an additional 4 million Ghanaians to the digital highway. On the legislative flank, we have begun work to evolve GIFEC into the Digital Economy and Innovation Development Fund, in line with the NDC's Resetting Ghana manifesto. Even as I remain focused on delivering on the President's charge, I am minded by the increased incidence of orchestrated campaigns of mis- and disinformation. I have instructed the Cybersecurity Authority to immediately improve its digital surveillance and monitoring. Several collaborative operations with sister security agencies have been undertaken, and as we speak, some are currently underway, to send a clear signal that such acts of public mis- and disinformation will not be tolerated. The government once again reiterates our respect for the freedom of expression and the right to public and private communication of citizens, but also wishes to remind us all that we have a collective civic duty to be responsible in our communication. In the spirit of full transparency, I will present a specialized legislative document on misinformation and disinformation before Parliament to be passed into law in its next meeting to create a clear legal framework for law enforcement. So notice is served. Once the law is passed, we will clamp down on you if you engage in mis- and disinformation. Ghana's digital voice continues to be heard on the global stage. From the Mobile World Congress and the ITU Forum to the World Bank Digital Summit and the Global Summit on AI in Africa, we have articulated our digital ambition and built valuable alliances. Our priorities remain clear as we advance: to build a digital Ghana where innovation thrives, access is equitable, and all shared technologies benefit. We have continued to deepen our strategic international partnerships, engaging in technology diplomacy with the UNDP, Germany, Turkey, and Italy to strengthen our digital infrastructure, policy frameworks, and innovation ecosystems. The World Bank, ITU, DCO, CTO, ATU, and Smart Africa remain strong partners in our digital reset agenda, and I'm grateful to them for their support so far, and I look forward to achieving our shared goals. As we move into the second quarter of the year, the ministry is poised to make even more significant progress towards a sustainable plan to ensure reliable and affordable internet for all, the pilot of the 1 Million Coders program, the national AI strategy, and digitizing public service delivery. We would see the strengthening of our policy and regulatory framework. We would commence public sensitization and education towards the impending SIM registration. And let's be clear, I didn't say a SIM re-registration. SIM registration, a proper SIM registration. And we would also do a central equipment identity register. We believe that we will roll out on the 1st of July this year. And the NCA Director General is smiling because he wants the 1st of July date. So we'll roll out 1st of July. But let me be clear, there will be no long queues. Ghanaians will not have to leave their jobs to go and queue. And that's why I said it's not a re-registration, it's a registration. It will be the first time you will have a proper registration of SIMs and documents driven by technology to ensure that from the comfort of your home, your SIM card will be verified and registered. Once more, I make that solemn pledge that Ghanaians will not be saddled to have to abandon work and queue for long hours to register their SIMs. The process will be human-centered, but technology-driven. The registration is critical for our collective security as a nation. Ghana's digital future is being built today with purpose, with strategic partnerships, and with the people at the center. Let's press forward. May God bless our homeland Ghana and make it great and strong. Thank you.